I'm going to speak about this for the very first time. I am, because and it's very, very emotional for me. It's about my daughter. Okay. And she had a brain tumor.
Oh, okay.
But the tumor was benign. And it sat on her speech area.
Okay.
And once I figured out, in the middle of the night, she had this episode where I had to rush her to the hospital. And they put her into ICU, and she was 10 years old. And I was like, my brain just froze, and I didn't understand what was going on. Then they told me she has a tumor. And they said, oh, but the good thing is, Ria, it's benign. And I'm in like this brain fog, because I was receiving whatever they're telling me very in a diffused way. I was like in a state of shock. And there were risks involved, because it was 1 millimeter away from her speech area. So if they cut even 1 millimeter this way, she would never be able to speak again. But she needed to be awake during the surgery, and she's 10 years old, because they needed her to speak during the surgery so that they know that they're not entering that domain. And it was a nightmare. Anyway, as the surgery date happened, and they were about to wheel her, and they said, no, we're not going to risk that. We're going to put her under like general anesthesia, because the risks are even higher this way. And I don't know what happened to me. I think when you are in a state of a very big experience in your life that is very traumatic, I just became immensely peaceful. And I had already discussed this with Guruji, and I told the doctor, the surgeon, I gave him Guruji's picture. I said, Doc, it's going to be fine. You keep Guruji's picture right next to her. Put it where she is. And he was so lovely. He was so indulgent and everything. So he took that from me. And as he was wheeling her, and he said, Ria, if she doesn't speak, don't panic when she comes out. If she doesn't recognize you, don't panic when she comes out. It will come back in about 2-3 weeks. So he was kind of preparing me. So then they went in for the surgery, and I was out, and my friends were there, her father was there. And at the same time, I just put my headphones on, and I was doing the Rudra Puja chanting. Mm-hmm. At the same time, Guruji was doing the Rudra Puja in Rishikesh. Okay. And if you know that Rudra Puja normally happens like about 9 o'clock in the morning, this time it was happening at 11 o'clock there. Not that it was even synchronized, it was just happening the way it was happening. And I sat for those 3 hours just listening to chants. And then that nurse comes and she knocks on that little, the door with this little window. Then she knocks to say that the surgery's over. So I rush towards where my daughter is. And I have those pictures in my thing. And that nurse called me so that she could see whether the child was responding, not responding. And I looked at my daughter, and she looked at me, and she put her hand like that so that I knew she recognized me. And the nurse or the anesthesiologist, I forget who it was at that point, she said, ma'am, you know what happened? She said, we were asking her when she came, when surgery was over, that, sweetheart, what's your name? And she didn't answer. So they tapped her again and said, what's your name? And she didn't answer. And then they had strapped Guruji's photograph to her hand. Mm-hmm. And they lifted her hand and they said, who is this? And she said, Jai Gurudev.
Wow.
Even now I can start crying, because I was like, I looked at her and I was like, seriously, I just knew then everything's fine. I just knew it. And they wheeled her into the general ICU. And because she recovered so fast, they took her to the private ICU, which was on top. And in 4 days, brain surgery, open, brain surgery. I sterilized my whole house. We took her home. Of course, there was a period of recovery. She didn't go to school for 4 months, but she was fine. She is fine. And that is my big, there are hundreds of moments with my guru. But for me, the moment, and Dr. Dio Pujari, when he came to the ICU, he was like, he looked at me and he said, do you know that she said, her first words were Jai Gurudev? And I said, I know, doc, I know. This person told me this, I know. And I think he was also so overwhelmed by what happened. And yeah. And I sent Guruji, I called up Guruji and I was saying, you have no idea, Guruji, you have no clue. She said, Jai Gurudev. She said, I don't think he understood what I was saying because I was like screaming and I was running to the Picheka stairs up to the ICU. And I said, Guruji, it's like that. And and I sent him pictures and, that was a big, big, big moment for me.
Wow.
It's very personal and it's I don't know why I shared it, but I just did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. I don't know if I should ask you any more.
I know. It was big for me.
Heavy.
Yeah.
It was very heavy.
But beautiful.
Yeah.
She recovered like a dream. And it was, I think the surgeon himself was like taken aback as to how she responded.